Hello everyone, welcome back to Assassin's Creed Valhalla with me, Longclawvalhalla and Steel, where we always deliver. We're playing the Wrath of the Druids DLC for this fantastic game, and I'm on part 5, Foothold in Connacht. I've arrived here with King Flann as he's addressing his troops to help him get organised for his assault on the northern part of Ireland, Ulster. I'm just trying to keep favour with King Flann so that my cousin King Barid stays in his good graces. Let's see how we get on.
Sometimes you need to go and take a step back to see the truth around you. From a distance you can tell. You and me were meant to be in the great outdoors, forever free. You and me.
So this DLC is all about exploring Ireland and discovering a new part of the map, but the main buck of the storyline is my cousin King Barid, who rules Dublin, but that's about it. And he's trying to gain favour with the High King Flann, who's the king of all Ireland. And the High King is trying to draw his subjects, and Barid included, and me alongside him, to help him break the northern barrier of Ireland and help him take control against some of his enemies. And there is a fortress which he wants to take under his control, and that will help him to access the northern areas and lay siege to certain areas in the northern part of Ireland. So in this little scene here, Eivor has a great idea to sneak in round the back and open the gates rather than going in heavy-handed. And as usual, it's Eivor who's doing all the work, coming up with all the suggestions, and of course will end up running around doing all the legwork as well, while everybody else takes credit for it. But that's the way we like it. This is a very different game to the other Assassin's Creed games that I've played. In fact, I don't really remember sometimes. I forget that I'm actually playing Assassin's Creed because this game seems so different, but that doesn't mean I don't like it. I love playing as a Viking, and I love Eivor's character, and I love the storyline, and I'm loving what I'm seeing from this new DLC, which, remember, it costs $19.99 to buy into this. There are so many reasons why you should do that if you've enjoyed playing the Assassin's Creed main storyline. King Flann has suggested that I meet up with one of his scouts who was sent ahead to give the whole area the once over. So I've decided to get off the horse here and climb all the way up, because I can see from my map that it's telling me that I need to be higher up, and I don't see me taking my horse all the way up to where these towers are that I can see. This is quite a climb. But that's another thing that I love about Ireland. It seems like a very different landscape to some of the other areas that we've been to. Of course, the majority of this game takes place in England, and that is super cool to see this kind of old version of England, almost 1,000 years ago. And also you've got Vinland, which is America, or North America, Canada, and then you've got obviously Norway. So this is a very extensive game, and I don't see this being the end of it. I think they will continue. Ubisoft are doing a great job of adding additional content, and that will keep people playing this game for a long time, and I think that is fantastic. I find that very exciting. Once I get to the top here, I can see I need to drop down just a little bit, so Eivor's coming up on the fortress now, but using my Raven, which is what I always do, I can see that the scout is just under the bridge, and then I can actually see the interaction bubble here. So I'm gonna see what the lay of the land is. The scout essentially gives me a tip that they're digging underneath the main area of the fortress, like fortifying the walls. So going down rather than up is one option, but again, with with all of Assassin's Creed games, and this one is no different. You have the choice to make decisions yourself. If you want to go in really heavy over the walls and just take everyone on, I know I could do that. I've done that for certain other areas of the game, but I'm going to show how to do this very covertly. So I'm not usually a big fan of doing a covert approach, especially not as a Viking. I'd prefer to go in heavy, but let's give this a go. So following the path that's been made of these little wooden ladders and wooden landings and things like that, you can essentially, just by continuously hitting your Odin sight, you get a feel for where the guards are and where there may be an entrance point. Just taking a stop for a moment just to look at how beautiful this game is and how amazing the landscape looks. So there's a break in the wall here, and just taking a moment just not to run in, because I don't want to just suddenly ruin my stealth approach. There is some treasure right here, but I'm not going to worry about any of that. If this mission goes the way I think it will, it's going to have me bringing in a force, King Flann's forces, and then I'll take down the castle, and I will then after that go around and clear it out. There's no point trying to stealth collect all this treasure, because you have time to do that later. So just bear that in mind. I'm focusing primarily on the task in hand, which is to unlock those gates. So to be really stealthy, I'm throwing the bodies over the battlements, which is something that I do, and not very often, but when it comes to trying to complete a task without alerting anyone, and for some of the royal demands that you have, where the king's plea may be remain undetected, don't take any damage, that kind of thing, I don't like completing those without nailing those pleas, so because you get twice as much supplies for your trade business. So I'm really focusing on how to clear a path, take down guards if you like, but removing their bodies, because leaving a dead body in the path of other guards, you're asking to get alerted. So I can see here that the mission objective is not far, and there is actually a walkway. You can walk all the way under it, and there are some guards that come in and out of this tunnel, and you need to be aware of the openings above, but so far I managed to walk all the way round. So that makes this quite easy. And this is an interesting twist on taking down fortresses. We've done this a whole bunch of ways throughout the main story arcs, and you kind of get used to it, battering the door to get into it, shooting the palisades, and then eventually fighting. And this is a nice little twist on that, a bit more chilled. So I'm just walking back and forth, trying to get a feel for exactly where I should make my exit, and where Eivor can access those gates, and exactly who and how many of the guards I need to take out just to make that possible. There is a guard here, and I sometimes give it a look and just see if should I shoot that guard, and it's just not worth it. If I'm trying to do this really stealthy, let's just avoid taking anyone out unless I really need to. And I can see here that there are so many guards around, but that doesn't really matter. We're going to come in, as I say, with a force, and there will be a combat section of this mission. I think for now I'm just focusing on, as I say, trying to get to the door and unlock it so that King Flann and the rest of the forces can come in. I'm just taking my time a little bit, just chilling, because I'm aware that there's an opening here and I don't want to come charging out of here and suddenly, it happens so many times that I'll just run out and suddenly alert a guard, and it turns into a 1v12 or 1v20. I'm really enjoying this kind of double assassination where you can take someone down and then you can target another guard and take them out. I find that really cool. You can actually do that. I've done that 2 or 3 times in a row. That's a really cool way of staying covert but taking out other guards. As long as the guard is in your eye line and visible, and you hit the RB button for Xbox, of course, then you can aim you can have your weapon ready to launch through the air. It looks like it's just a little bit lower than me, and I'm just trying to figure out at this stage how I need to get down. So although I I feel like I'm underground. I'm not. I'm just under the battlement. I still need to drop down to another level here just to get to the ground level. And I actually, it's almost like I cannot help myself but to shoot a wall when I see it like that. So I'm just checking to make sure there's no access route here, and actually there's just a little bit of loot I can take. But I'll come back and check this out properly. I actually need to go out into the main area, and I'm just aware that there's still guards pacing around. So I'm just figuring out who I need to take out and whether I can just sneak round there to the gate, because I really am right next to it now. What I also love about this is the Odin sight is really good in Valhalla, and if you played any of the other Assassin's Creed games, you will notice that the Odin sight works for a couple of seconds and then it disappears. Once you get considerably through the sort of rank up process and the skill tree, you can really have your Odin sight. Once you press it once or twice, it just stays with you, so you have a very good idea of where your enemies are, and of course where loot and points of interest and things of interest are. I'm just taking a little dive into the haystack. But actually, that gives me a chance to look around, and then we're done. So now let's just get the rest of the guys inside. See, King Flann is all about taking control of this fortress because of its sheer location and the fact that it probably would be very difficult to impregnate, unless of course you have a friendly Dringa Viking that can slide round the walls and open the gates from the inside. I'd need to make sure that's fortified so that the same thing doesn't happen to King Flann once we're inside. When it comes to the combat side of things, no major issue, to be honest. There's a bit of fighting, and the area of the castle, the fortress, is split into south and north. And first up, we're going to try and just take this part of the castle and just take out the guards. There's no major worry. Flann is pretty cool with his sword, actually. This is not like when I take my crew around to go into the raiding section of the game where everybody's passing out all over the place, and I spend half my time running around reviving the crew. I try to avoid that by just, if I can see that there's a serious threat, someone with if it's a pikeman or someone, a Goliath or someone like that, I'll try and take them out just so that they don't take out the crew. But I'm not sure whether that deals any major damage if your crew are sitting there needing to be, desperately needing to be revived. I don't know, but I just don't like seeing that little exclamation mark on the screen. I prefer to get them on their feet. There are some supplies which you can blow up. I'm not sure why you would do that. I can't see how blowing up the supplies whilst our forces are all around and would set fire to everyone. At some point, about halfway through the combat sequence, Flann makes this weird slow walk with his sword out in front of him, asking me to open the doors, and that takes us through to the next part of the fortress. And this is a pretty cool sequence, actually. I mean, when you think of some of the other fortresses that we've taken down in the main story arcs, it sometimes gets a bit messy, and I know from making content and recording the gameplay, it's hard to show precisely what you're doing and how that fortress takedown takes place when there is a lot going on, and it's usually a few stages. But this to me seemed way better. I feel like this DLC has focused way more on that. Maybe feedback from the community that are actually playing the game. Maybe there's a lot of feedback about some of the fortress takedowns being a bit messy. So this seems a lot cleaner. Once again, someone's on the floor behind. Get up, come on. Let's do this together, brother. Come on. And I can see someone else behind. It's like so frustrating because I really don't like to see it. Okie dokie. So let's just get everyone up on their feet. Keep going. This is not hard, and I don't know whether because I've been doing this a while now, or I'm getting good at it, but it didn't trouble me at all. So I guess the way this is going, from the way that this story line is shaping up, is that we're going to be taking on the northern forces, because I've gained an alliance, I think, of the southern army when I joined these forces. So I'm guessing there could be some major battle between King Flann, which someone obviously rooting for his, or trying to take him down, because they don't want him to be the sole ruler. So I'm not sure. At first, when I interacted with Flann, I kind of saw him as a character that I would end up having to take on, but I don't know. For now, it seems just like it's keep him happy, do what he wants, so that Barid is, my cousin, is always on his good side. So I'll just carry on doing that. At the same time, I'm furiously taking control of lots of different trade posts to try and build up a trade network, and also doing the royal demands. So focusing on that so that I can generate enough trade materials, etc. But that increases the renown. I've just increased Dublin's renown from 2 to 3, and I'm pleased about that. So we're done with this fortress now. This is under the control of Flann, which is cool, and I'm not sure what's in there for us, but for now he's kind of in his kind of victory feast, whatever. He starts to call for his poetess Kiara, who we've met couple of times now, and there's definitely a bit of romance blooming there between her and Eivor, but she's kind of playing hard to get and making it a little harder than some of the other romance issues, and I'm kind of just seeing where that goes. He wants me to go and find her and report back the very nature of the battle so that she can write all of this into a song, and it will be played in his court, so that everyone understands the valor of King Flann and all of his forces as they took control of this very important fortress. So leaving Barid, there's this just little scene here where Eivor tells him, I'll be back, see you later. It almost makes me feel like you ain't going to see him again, but I don't know. Let's see. And Kiara's actually singing a beautiful song as you're trying to find her. It's very cool. And then when you get up, she's just sitting playing her instrument. I don't know what that is. I guess it's like a lute or something like that. Kind of medieval instrument. And she's sitting looking out, surveying the lands. And you hear a little bit of her backstory here. And Ava's just thinking, you know what he's thinking, right? He's thinking, maybe we could get together. But let's see. The whole Kiara storyline is just leaning towards someone who may end up coming back with Eivor, perhaps, maybe to Ravensthorpe at the end of this DLC. I don't know, because she talks about being a traveller and wanting to get away. She's a pagan like Eivor, so we'll see how that develops. For now, she explains she has enough material to make the song that Barid is looking for, that King Flann is looking for, sorry, so that will keep him happy, and we'll see where this goes next. So I hope you've been enjoying this, and I hope you're enjoying the DLC if you're playing it. I'm really enjoying it so far, and I'm going to be bringing each part of this as I go through it, along with little guides on the trade part of the DLC, as well as the royal demands. You can check out the content on my channel and let me know what you think, as well as other content on there as well. And don't forget, we need your feedback. Content creators are only as good as the following that they have, so make sure if you watch this video and you like it, you give me some attention and interact with the video, just all the good stuff that you know I need. And we'll see where this goes, and I've got a lot of high hopes for the way that Ubisoft have introduced this DLC. I've never seen an expansion pack that quite like this for any of the Assassin's Creed games. They really are focusing on additional material that expands the game in that very way, rather than just adding in items of clothing, horses, weapons, things like that. It's more about additional content, and the fact that they are able to do this with a game like this just makes me feel so good about the possibilities for the future and all the other expansions that could come with it. So I'm really excited by that. Eivor wakes up and everything is done and dusted, and he now needs to meet with Barid. Let's come back and take that up in the next video.